Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we streamline complex source material into essential knowledge, helping you get informed fast.
Today, we are really getting into the mechanics of the trucking industry.
Yeah, it's a sector that's it's defined by these razor-thin margins, logistical chaos, and honestly, operators who have just an incredible amount of grit.
And this dive is particularly interesting because the sources are focused on something really fundamental.
Which
The
is,
difference between just surviving and actually being able to scale a business successfully.
okay.
We're pulling the lens back from all the day-to-day firefighting to look at the underlying structure.
And the source material has a specific context here, right?
It does. It mentions the South African trucking market, which is a great example of a demanding environment where, that volatility really demands you have maximum internal control.
That makes sense. Because when you look at most operators, the effort is already maxed out. I mean, they're working insane hours.
Well, absolutely. They're driving, managing, sacrificing.
Hard work is just the ticket to entry in this industry. But the outcome, the ability to grow in a sustainable way, it often isn't there, despite all that effort.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The source material argues that the real differentiator, it's not effort, it's intentionality.
Yes,
And it's all packaged into this one concept: operational discipline.
that's the term.
The core insight seems to be that success comes from controlling the variables inside your business instead of just constantly reacting to everything happening outside of it.
And we should define that right away because operational discipline can sound a bit stiff.
Right, like it means being bureaucratic or rigid.
Yeah, something only a massive fleet can afford to implement. But that's not it at all. It's really about clarity and consistency.
So running the business with intention.
With intention, exactly. Making control the top priority, especially when the pressure's on, margins are tiny, and you've got these external risks, like fuel prices going crazy, that you just can't avoid.
So it's the framework that turns all that hard work into reliable results.
That's it.
So let's start with the recognizable signs. How do you know if you're stuck in what the sources call survival mode? I mean, it's exhausting. And I bet these patterns just become normal without you even realizing it.
I think the number one signal is financial stress that's kind of disguised as activity.
What do you mean by that?
Well, your cash flow feels completely unpredictable. You might have a great month, everything's clicking, and then two terrible ones right after, and you can't really explain why. You're constantly fighting the same fires over and
But
over.
same recurring problem.
The source lists them so clearly. Things like late payments, drivers not submitting their paperwork on time, those unexpected costly breakdowns.
And the persistent driver issues that just never seem to go away.
Right. You are always on the back foot, just playing catch up.
And here's the point that really stood out to me. The most telling sign of being in that fragile survival mode is that the business owner becomes the single point of failure.
Ah, yes. The whole operation depends on them.
Exactly. Performance just plummets the second the leader steps away because the entire business relies on that one person's ability to manually fix every single problem every single day.
The owner is the discipline.
That's a great way to put it. So let's contrast that. What's the flip side? This scalable operation.
Right. And again, this isn't about being perfect. Trucks still break down.
Of course.
But the business is just fundamentally more robust. It's disciplined.
So what does that robust structure actually look like when you peel back the layers?
It means the whole financial picture is visible. It's understood. Costs aren't just known. They are actively controlled.
Through consistent processes, I assume.
Exactly. Consistent processes for maintenance, for dispatch, for all the admin, and performance is monitored. Well, basically in real time.
So you spot the problems before they become disasters.
You spot the negative trends. Yeah. And this is crucial. Your decisions, whether it's hiring someone or taking on a new route, they're based on facts, on data.
Not on a gut feeling or just responding to stress.
Not at all.
Yeah.
But the key thing is, this shift doesn't happen by accident.
No.
The owner has to intentionally apply that operational discipline.
Right.
You have to choose to stop running on adrenaline and start insisting your business runs on a reliable system.
Okay, so that brings us to the practical side of things, how this actually works on the ground.
Right.
Because operational discipline isn't about, buying some complicated new software. It's really about doing the basics exceptionally well, over and over again.
Consistently. That's the word.
So let's get into the specifics the sources mention. What activities does a trucking business absolutely have to master?
Okay, top of the list, without a doubt, is cost knowledge.
Knowing your numbers.
And I mean, really knowing them. You have to move past just knowing your total spend for the month.
Yeah.
You have to get to your true operating costs.
Which would be cost per kilometer.
Cost per kilometer and cost per truck.
Yeah.
If you don't have that number down to the decimal point, you are fundamentally pricing your services blind. You're just operating on hope.
And to get that visibility, you need consistent, almost religious tracking of the key variables.
Yes. We're talking fuel usage per kilometer, planned versus actual maintenance, monitoring your tire wear, tracking every repair.
All the big ticket items.
They're the biggest profit destroyers if you let them run wild.
And it's not just the trucks, is it? There's a human element.
A huge human element. It means managing drivers with crystal clear expectations, standard contracts, and accountability systems that deal with the small stuff before it becomes a major liability.
And on the admin side.
Standard, repeatable processes for everything. Dispatch, invoicing, collections. No more chasing down invoices with a text message. It has to be a system.
Which shifts the focus, and I think we need to emphasize the timeline here. The source says review performance weekly.
Yes, not waiting until something breaks, or worse, waiting for the month-end statements.
By then, the loss is already a fact.
It's already concrete.
Yeah.
And what's so fascinating is that none of these items track fuel, send invoices, do maintenance. None of it is complicated.
No, every operator knows they should be doing this stuff.
They know. The entire challenge is consistency. It's about whether you can maintain that discipline when the phone is ringing off the hook, a truck is on the side of the road, and you're short-staffed.
That's when the system is tested.
Discipline is what keeps the system running, even when chaos is telling you to just ignore it.
And you can see so clearly how a small failure in that discipline just amplifies problems in this kind of environment.
It's not a linear effect at all. It's exponential, especially in these volatile markets.
Give me an example.
Okay, think about a simple clerical error, a delayed invoice. Say it's just 4 days late.
Okay.
That small delay means the owner misses the window for an early payment discount on fuel that they rely on.
Ah, I see where this is going.
Now there's a cash shortage, so they have to use a high-interest credit facility just to make payroll.
So a tiny admin slip-up
Has now turned into a significant, unnecessary financial liability that eats the profit margin for the entire month.
That's a perfect illustration. A simple lapse becomes a borrowing cost. Or, a single missed maintenance check.
Exactly. It's not just a checkbox you miss.
No, it becomes a costly roadside breakdown. The truck is out of service for 2 days, and you're maybe facing a massive penalty for late delivery.
Discipline is the buffer. It stops that rapid amplification.
So the payoff for putting in this work, for creating this consistency, it's foundational. Let's talk about the first big benefit, stability. Why is that the #1 priority for a business in a volatile market?
Stability is your defense mechanism. It's your armor. Operational discipline just dramatically reduces surprises.
It improves predictability.
Totally. When you're tracking costs daily and reviewing performance weekly, you see a problem early. Like, say, unusual fuel consumption on truck B.
Right.
You catch it when it's still cheap to fix. Maybe it's just a driver issue you can correct. If you wait, it becomes an engine overhaul.
So you're shifting from crisis management to prevention.
You're always in preventative action mode. And in the kind of environment our sources are talking about, where fuel costs can spike overnight,
And clients stretch payment terms.
stability is not optional. It's the bedrock that lets you absorb those market shocks. If your internal house is a mess, any external storm will knock it down.
And if we connect that stability to the bigger picture, it's really the prerequisite for the second benefit, which is growth.
Oh, 100%. Scaling without discipline is just, it's amplifying chaos.
Right. If you have 5 trucks and your processes are a mess, 10 trucks won't double your profit.
It'll double your problems and probably have your control.
So discipline enables growth with confidence. How does that confidence actually show up on, say, the P&L statement?
It comes from clarity. The disciplined owner knows, with precision, what actually makes the money.
They can see which contracts are profitable and which are just time wasters.
Exactly. And they can use that factual understanding to go after better clients, negotiate better rates, and add trucks without that fear of losing control of costs or driver performance or cash flow.
They're not guessing anymore.
They are executing a proven, repeatable model. And, ultimately, growth should reduce the pressure on the leader.
Not add to it.
Right. It should distribute responsibility. But if growth means the owner has to work even longer hours and be in every single tiny decision, that's just unsustainable.
So operational discipline is what allows the business to scale without being totally dependent on the founder's constant, exhausting presence.
That's the freedom it buys you.
This brings us to the most practical part of our deep dive. For you, the listener, you don't have to overhaul everything at once.
No, that would be overwhelming.
The source highlights 5 specific areas to focus on to strengthen discipline and get an immediate impact. And let's tackle the big concern. How do you stop this from just creating a bunch of bureaucracy for a small operator?
That's a great question. And the answer is focus. You choose the few metrics that actually matter. This is about smart monitoring, not creating paperwork.
Okay, so the first step is cost visibility. You said this was non-negotiable. What's a common pitfall here for small operators?
They often mix up fixed and variable costs. They're pretty good at tracking fuel, which is variable,
Sure.
but they fail to accurately allocate their fixed overhead things like insurance, depreciation, admin salaries back to the cost per kilometer.
So their cost per kilometer number looks artificially low.
Exactly, which means they're underpricing their services, maybe without even knowing it. So that regular detailed tracking is the absolute baseline.
Got it. Number 2, routine reviews. You said waiting until month end is too late. Why is that weekly cycle so critical?
Because things can go south so fast in this market. Waiting 30 days means you're looking at a big loss you now have to absorb.
But reviewing weekly,
Even if it's just for an hour, looking at 4 key numbers lets you catch that spike in repair costs or that weird idle time that's burning fuel while the problem is still small enough to fix with one phone call.
okay. Third, clear processes. This is about getting the business out of being dependent on specific people.
Which is a huge risk. If only one person knows how to do collections and they go on leave, you're paralyzed.
Yeah.
Clear processes mean everyone knows the one correct way to do things. Whether it's signing out a truck or processing an invoice, it reduces errors, it speeds up training, and it cuts down the stress on the owner.
Number 4, accountability. And this is across the board, from drivers to managers.
Yeah, and accountability has to be clear and it has to be fair. Drivers need to know what's acceptable for fuel usage. Admin staff need clear deadlines.
And it's about expectations and consequences.
Both. When expectations are met, that gets recognized. When they're not, there are predictable, predefined consequences. It links behavior directly to business outcomes.
And finally, number 5, data-driven decisions. This is kind of the payoff for all the other steps.
It is. It's about moving away from gut feel or, frankly, desperation. Thinking about a new truck. Look at your cost per kilometer data, not just the shiny finance offer.
Wondering if you should drop a client.
Review their payment history against your collection times. It takes the emotion out of it and replaces it with facts.
And this whole structure, these 5 steps, they all support that ultimate goal you mentioned earlier, the leadership shift.
That's the core transformation. This is what allows a leader to go from fixing problems to preventing problems.
From being involved in everything.
To leading through systems. And crucially, from reacting daily to planning deliberately.
That shift means the leader is spending their Monday morning landing a huge, profitable contract.
Instead of spending it chasing down missing paperwork or scrambling to find cash to make payroll.
So what does this all mean for you, the operator, or even just the curious learner? It means the path to stability and scaling. It isn't found in some exhausting, heroic sprint.
No, it's a marathon.
It's in the steady, intentional application of operational discipline. It's about moving from a state of constant crisis to one of reliable control and, with it, growing confidence. When that discipline is in place, survival becomes stability. And it's that hard-won stability that makes sustainable scaling actually possible.
And the source material really helicizes starting small. But if a business leader who's trapped in that quicksand of daily firefighting could only make one change tomorrow morning, just commit to one of these 5 disciplines.
Which one should it be?
It has to be the one with the highest leverage against their most immediate pain point. So for you listening, if you know you need to make this shift from chaos to intention, think about the personal cost of delay.
Meaning?
If you prioritize fighting today's fires over improving your weekly process for the next 12 months, what is the dollar cost of that continued, amplified inefficiency 1 year from now?